Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS 1090J. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me, man. Like I said in the last video, I got fired from Dunkin' Donuts. I got fired from my first job ever. I didn't really care. I didn't really take it as a loss. Reason being, the people that worked there, I really didn't respect. You know what I mean? I found that while I was in the sober community, it was like the people that had been sober, not everyone, but there was a select few that just because they were sober like 6 months or a year or 2 years, they acted like they've never stuck a needle in their arm. They acted like they've never done a drug, like they're better than everybody else. They've had their life together. You know what I'm saying? When we all started off in the same place, in the same position. My assistant manager, she just that was her. That described her to a T. You know what I mean? She still lived in some type of program facility, halfway house for females. Like, she really didn't hold her own down. And I mean, she's like late 40s. You're an assistant manager at Dunks. Like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're really trying to act like you're better than everyone. She just wasn't respectful to anybody. I got tired of waking up at 5 in the morning and taking the bus and the train in the cold from Dorchester all the way to Quincy Center just to go see this lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't care at that point. But losing my job put me in a very dark place. The reason I say that, I tried to look for other jobs. I tried to get into other type of fields. I tried to become a bartender. I tried to become a bar back. I tried to become a bouncer, and I was basically told that because I got the tattoos, they're not gonna want me as a bouncer because people are gonna be, they're gonna get drunk. They're gonna think I'm trying to look tough. They're gonna want to fight. And then being that I'm already a convicted felon with violent felonies, they just looked at me as a liability. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have experience bartending or as a bar back, they didn't want to give me the opportunity. So I basically just couldn't get it. And I'm talking about, like, I'm going to every Irish bar in Dorchester. I'm going to Back Bay. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to the real bars and I'm going to the yuppie bars. And it wouldn't work out. It wasn't working out. And I tried to get into, kitchen, any type of job, bro, anything. Target said they wouldn't hire me because I'm a violent felon. And it got to a point that I was spending so much money Ubering or taking my time to get on a bus and a train and travel to these locations just to get let down. And it took its toll. I'm not going to lie. It took its toll. Every time I go out there, I try to present myself the best as I can. And they just weren't going for it. And, I could see it on their face before anything was even spoken, before I put my hand out to shake theirs. I saw it on their face. I knew I wasn't getting the job. And it got to a point where, it just felt like a fire was set inside of me and it just grew every single day. Just this burning feeling of being unsatisfied with my surroundings. I didn't respect myself because I couldn't be who I felt I should be. I couldn't be a boyfriend. I didn't have the money to take out my girlfriend. I couldn't be a brother or an uncle or whatever because I didn't have money to give gifts on holidays or birthdays or anything. I couldn't do anything. I was dead broke. And one day I woke up and I was just like, I'm gonna crank up. And this is where it got me. So, like always, I'm gonna produce the paperwork. The paperwork is very important because it gives y'all a different understanding. It's not just about showing the proof that, oh, this happened, and I'm showing y'all how these things actually carry out. I'm showing you the way these things are written out. I'm showing you how the courts are able to paint a picture. Because y'all been watching my videos, and for some of y'all that haven't, you're going to learn who I am. You're going to learn how I carry myself through watching my videos. And the way I carry myself and the way I present myself may not be what you think when you see me first. But you are not giving the ability to paint a picture of yourself when you are in the courts. The courts paint a picture for you. And it's very dangerous because they don't always paint the best picture. They don't want you to look like a positive person. They don't want... It doesn't matter how well spoken you are. It doesn't matter. None of that. All that matters is the prosecutor wants to secure a conviction. And then obviously your lawyer or public defender wants to make sure you stay out. But more or less, I was arrested on Burgess Street. And I was outside at the time. You know what I mean? I just remember two, SUVs pulling up fast as hell. They jumped out. I had 4 cops pointing guns at me, telling me to put my hands up. They're screaming at me, get your fucking hands up. So my hands go up. Everyone's pointing the guns. I'm like, yo, stop pointing this shit. Like, what are you... Get on the ground, get on the ground. I lay down on the ground, right? So they come up. They cuff me up immediately. They stop patting me down. They're asking me, where's the gun? Where's the gun? So I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? They sit me down on the concrete. We go over to the corner by the park. So they're sitting me here. They start asking questions. They're asking, where's the gun? Canine pulls up. They get the canine dog. The dog sniffs me. The dog, they take the dog through the back of the buildings. And they're looking for a gun. They have me stand up. And they have 2 officers that were plainclothes officers stand next to me. And I mean, you can always tell a Boston cop a mile away. They're always wearing some sports shit. They got some Red Sox hat or something like that, or whatever it is, and it's always the same thing. But they got these 2 dudes standing next to me. A BPD SUV pulls up, and it's got the tinted windows, and basically they had some kid point me out. So, this kid points me out. They put me in the back of the car. And at this point, I'm getting arrested. My girl and her mother, they came out and, they basically told them what was going on. And I'm getting into it with an officer. And the officer's telling me, he's like, all right, we'll see if you're talking tough when we get to B2. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're just getting into it. I get put into the car. They drive me to B2. B2 is the police station in Roxbury. I live in Dorchester. My zip code is 02125, but because I'm literally on the line of Roxbury and it's pretty much North Dorchester, we're patrolled by B2. We're patrolled by the Roxbury, police department, whatever. And that's where they took me. They took me to B2, which is off Dudley Street, right by Dudley Station. And, I get in there. They do the regular thing, you know what I'm saying? I gotta sign the paper. I gotta take all the strings out of my shoes, the string out of my hoodie, whatever. I didn't want to cut it, but they're telling me, like, the cells are freezing in here. You're gonna want the hoodie. So I'm like, nah, I don't want it. I don't want to cut it. I give it. He puts it in my property. They put me in the cell. This cell is probably 30 degrees. It's freezing in here. I got my arms in my shirt. I'm laid up on the cement block, just trying to, you know what I'm saying, get some type of warmth. I can't do it. So basically I get on the door. The CO brings me the hoodie, cuts the string. Boom, I get the hoodie. And then inside of the cell, they got a little thing with a number pad. And I was able to call my girl and talk to her and basically tell her what's going on. So I go to court the next day. I got arrested on a Sunday. I went to court on Monday. When I go to court, right, the prosecutor is basically reading off the case. And the case sounds so flawed. Like, nothing sounds right. They're saying I had a gun. They didn't find a gun. They're saying in the description I had on one outfit, but I'm wearing a completely different outfit. They're saying that I was pointing a gun at somebody to their face, but they didn't recognize one tattoo. I'm right-handed. So if I got my right hand out, you're going to see these tattoos. Not only that, but I got my eye, I got my forehead. Not one tattoo was spoken on. Nothing on my arms, nothing. Not one tattoo was given in the description. So not only did they not have the gun, they didn't have the outfit, they didn't have any tattoos, they had the wrong cell phone number. The judge is looking at them like, well, what do y'all have? What evidence against him do you have? And the prosecutor's trying to say I used a fake number, whatever, da-da-da, right? So I end up getting a bail. And, you know, my PD... And it's funny, too, because my girl's in the audience at court, and then there's other people there. Like, there was these two other girls, and they're like, he innocent. He ain't do that. None of this even sound right. Like, they sticking up for me. But I get a bail, and the judge asks how much can I afford to my public defender. My public defender's like, 500? The judge is like, all right, $500 bail. I'm just thinking to myself, like, you must have read my forehead. You knew to give me 500, you feel me? But this is the paper. This is the actual paper of when I bailed out. Roxbury Division, 85 Warrant Street. So it's not on Dudley Street. It's right off of Dudley Street, though. I was charged with armed assault with intent to rob and assault with a dangerous weapon. And I bailed out for $500. So I got out that Monday. I was arrested Sunday, went to court Monday, got out like an hour later. They had me sitting in the tank downstairs. And this was the first time I was ever in a court tank, or like the cells downstairs under the court where they keep you. And I mean, the subs were disgusting, but they give you Sprite. Like, we were getting Sprite. In Tampa, you get little plastic juice in a bag, a plastic bag, apple juice. You gotta bite it open and squeeze it, and we get like, I don't know, like ham or bologna sandwiches or something with mustard. It's nasty. The sandwiches here were disgusting, but that Sprite was busting. The Sprite was so good, and the CO that was working was mad friendly. Like, dude kept coming back and giving like an extra cup and another cup of Sprite. Like, mad respectful. Tampa, nothing like that. So, you know, a couple of days go by, and I know that I got to go to court now to fight this case. And I believe it was Friday. So I go to the store, right? And, you know, I'm making my way back from the store. I think I got like an Arizona iced tea, maybe like a bag of Doritos or something. I don't know. And then I think I got some blunts. And when I come back onto the block, I see further down the block that there's mad police cars. You know, like the SUVs and a couple unmarked cars. So I'm like, what happened down there? You know what I mean? So I go into my building, right? I go onto my floor, and I see that my door to my apartment is open. So I'm like, what is that? And I see, you know, something on the floor. I can't really tell what it is. But I see that the door is cracked open. I walk up and I look, and it's a battering ram sitting up straight right in front of my door. And then I heard voices, and that's when it clicked. The police just hit my house, and they're in my house right now. So immediately I turn around, I start hauling ass, right? When I get outside my building, I run right into my neighbor, and I tell him, I'm like, yo, bro, can you take this bag? The police just hit my apartment. They're in there right now. I gotta go. So he was like, you know, got that. He grabbed that, and he went up in the apartment, and I hauled ass, right? I'm running. Because I'm thinking they're looking for me. Like, maybe they found something, or they're going to rearrest me on something, whatever. So I haul ass, and I basically run into someone, you know, a couple side streets away. Turns out he just came from Dudley Street. So he's like, nah, I didn't see no police, da-da-da. Eventually, I call my girl, and she tells me, you know, they left, I can come back. When I come back, she laces me up on everything that happens, and then I also get the search warrant paperwork, which is this right here that I'm about to read to y'all. Search warrant. The name of the applicant, Patrick Browning, that was the detective in the case. Boston Municipal Court, Roxbury Division. And I mean, basically, it just tells you what they're getting the search warrant for. Stolen, embezzled, or obtained false pretenses and is intended for use by means of committing a crime, has been concealed to prevent a crime from being discovered, da da da. So boom, down here, right? I am seeking the issuance of a warrant authorizing the search of blank Dudley Street. It is a two-tone, four-story building. It has dot-colored stone on the ground level and tan-colored bricks on the second, third, and fourth levels. It has a black entryway with a blank front door. There are 4 units in the building. There is a set of stairs on your left and side and a hallway on your right. And then, like I said, I'm obviously not going to tell y'all which exact one that I'm in, but which is occupied by and or in the possession of Jacob Cherry and any other residents. So then it tells them what they're allowed to do with the bottom. You are authorized to conduct a search at any time during the night. You are not authorized to enter the premises without announcement. You are also commanded to search any person present who may be found to have such property in his or her possession or under his or her control, or to whom such property may have been delivered. You are further commanded, if you find such property or any part thereof, to bring it, and when appropriate, the persons in whose possession it is found, before the Roxbury Division of the Boston Court Department. And it was pretty much signed by the judge, and they banged it out. This is the return of officer serving search warrant. So this is basically telling you what they got from the search warrant, and that it was executed July 15th, 2016. They got 1 black LG tablet, 1 black Dell laptop mini, 1 black LG smartphone, 1 black HP laptop. This inventory was made in the presence of Detective James Sheehan. What's crazy about this, right, is when I got popped, when I first got arrested, they took my phone, the iPhone that I had. So I didn't have a phone when I was released. I went to CVS that day, bought a little, phone. I didn't even put the minutes on it yet, right? Boom. Then my house gets hit. They took the phone, the new phone, before I even put minutes on it. So now I gotta get a whole nother phone because in the search warrant, they took that phone too. They basically came in and took all the technology. They took my girl's school laptop, like everything. They didn't take her phone. They didn't take her mother's phone. But tablet that didn't even work, her school laptop that she needed for school at the time, and then my old cell phone. Now this is the application for the search warrant. This is what they basically have to write to the judge, and this is where they explain themselves on why they want permission to search, the apartment, the house, whatever it is. So this is the reason why. So if we go down to 3, it says, I am seeking the issuance of a warrant to search for the following property: a long chrome-colored firearm, any and all ballistics evidence to include any cleaning kits and equipment for the proper maintenance of such weapons, a zip-up gray hooded sweatshirt, a face mask, any and all pictures, personal papers, and effects indicating resident status of said dwelling, and any cellular phones, iPads, laptops, or any other devices that could have been used during the commission of these crimes. So that's basically what they came looking for. They were looking for an outfit, a mask, a big-ass gun, and technology. All they left with was the technology. They didn't find a gun. They didn't find any clothes, any mask, any of that. This is basically, and I've never gotten search warrant paperwork before. I never knew that they actually ask the detectives to basically give their resume and their background, as if that's going to be a deciding factor if the judge signs off on the search warrant. But this is basically this guy's resume. I, Patrick Browning, am an 11-year veteran of the Boston Police Department and am currently a detective assigned to District 2 in Roxbury. I was appointed to the Boston Police Department in May 2005, and I am a graduate of the Boston Police Academy. Prior to becoming a detective, I worked as a police officer in District 4 in the South End for 7 years. During my time there, I was assigned primarily to the plainclothes anti-crime cop. From there, I was transferred to the Youth Violence Strike Force, commonly referred to as the Gang Unit. The Gang Unit is a citywide unit made up of plainclothes officers and detectives whose mission is to disrupt the organizational structure and reduce the criminal activity and antisocial behavior of youthful offenders and youth gangs by collecting intelligence and through directed and neighborhood-based policing strategies. During my time there, I worked in an undercover capacity several times and participated in numerous collaborative investigations with the ATF, Mass State Police, and many other federal, state, and local agencies. As a result, I have assisted in and made hundreds of arrests for assorted criminal violations. The majority of said arrests have been for crimes of violence and assorted narcotics and firearm violations. I have successfully completed the detective formative training, 120 hours, held at the Boston Police Academy in 2015. This training includes classes in interviewing, crime scene response, cyber crimes, and search warrants. Among the many specialized training courses I've attended was a regional FBI school, 60 hours, that focuses on undercover operations in 2013. In addition to these trainings, I hold a Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from Curry College and am currently working towards a master's degree. The information contained within this affidavit is based on my own observations, training, and experience and that of other sworn members of the Boston Police Department. The date of this writing in support of an application for a search warrant is 7/4/2016. I have probable cause to believe that evidence relative to the apparent armed assault with intent to rob in violation with, and they give the code, an assault by means of a dangerous weapon to wit gun in violation of the code again. And then it actually gives the kid, the victim, his name, which I'm not going to put out there because there's no reason to put this kid's name out there. Will be found within and upon blank Dudley Street in the Roxbury section of Boston. I respectfully request to search all rooms, closets, basement, common hallways, storage areas, and area within the curtilage of blank Dudley Street in the Roxbury section of Boston. So that's something that, you know, if any of you are still partaking in the bullshit, it isn't just your apartment. It could be a hallway, it could be a basement, which also means that if you get into something and one of your neighbors has something in the hallway that shouldn't be there and they do a search warrant on your apartment, you can get charged with whatever they find. Not that it might last in court, but you can still get charged for it. Therefore, I respectfully request that a search warrant be issued for said dwelling. I request the court's authorization to search for and to seize the following articles of evidentiary value: long chrome colored firearm, any and all ballistic evidence, zip up gray hooded sweatshirt, face mask, any and all pictures, personal papers, and effects indicating resident status of said dwelling, any cellular phones, iPads, laptops, and other devices that could have been used during the commission of these crimes. For the purposes of this affidavit, ballistics evidence includes additional firearms or any components of a firearm, ammunition, any supplemental devices such as lasers, lights, silencers, or locks, any equipment or materials used to clean or maintain firearms, and any manuals and or written materials relative to the care, use, and maintenance issued. I am also seeking the issuance of a warrant authorizing the search of a white and gold colored Apple iPhone 6s mobile phone with a gold mirrored case. This mobile phone was recovered from Jacob Cherry during the booking process at District B2 and has been in the custody of the BPD since July 10, 2016. I request the authority of the court to transport the aforementioned white and gold color Apple iPhone 6s to Sergeant Detective Kevin Witherspoon of the Boston Police Department, assigned to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office located at whatever, for the purpose of conducting forensic examination of any internal and or removable media in the Apple iPhone 6s and to seize if they be found. Pay close attention to this because everybody got souped up phones nowadays. This is what they do when they get a warrant on your phone. Subscriber telephone number, electronic serial number, international mobile equipment, records of internet and browser activity, Files, data, or information that may contain or otherwise constitute evidence of access, possession, control, and or use of ownership of the seized items of technical evidence, identity, mobile equipment identifier, UDID, or other similar identification number. Phone configuration, information and settings, names of all installed applications and programs, incoming, outgoing, draft sent, and deleted text messages, saved, opened, unopened, draft, sent, and deleted electronic mail messages, mobile, instant messages, chat logs, data, and contact information, saved and deleted photographs, movies, and user files, incoming and outgoing call logs, and all contacts. What they do is something called a cell phone extraction. It doesn't matter how long you've deleted something, whatever you've Googled in your phone, whatever you've taken a picture of, whatever you've texted someone, they can recover all of that information. Snapchat, when y'all be on Snapchat with guns and all of that is still in your phone. Doesn't matter how long it's been deleted. WhatsApp, they can get all that, all the messages. It's a whole cell phone data extraction. Everything you do on that phone is getting taken out of that phone. Not only that, they can also track your location by the nearest cell phone tower. So if you're in the area of that tower and something happens and they want to find out if you're in that area, when they reach out to your cell phone provider, they're going to know you were in that area. You got to be on point with this stuff. A lot of people don't know this. About 7:47 p.m. on Sunday, 7/10/2016, several uniformed officers from District B2, as well as plainclothes members of the Youth Violence Strike Force, responded to a radio call for a person with a gun at 610 Dudley Street. While the officers were responding to the call, they received further information from the police dispatcher that the suspect was a white male in his 20s and that he was wearing a red hooded sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and chasing the caller with a large chrome handgun. The responding officers were quickly able to stop a white male, later identified as Jacob Cherry, of blank Dudley Street, who was wearing a red hooded sweatshirt, dark gray sweatpants, and white Nike sneakers. Officers also located the caller at the intersection of Dudley Street and Clifton Street. The caller told officers that he met a female on the dating app Plenty of Fish, and that the female identified herself as a 22-year-old black female named Tiana. The caller provided officers with Tiana's phone number and said that her username on the app Plenty of Fish was blank. The caller said that the two agreed to meet in the parking lot in the rear of 610 Dudley Street. Upon arriving at the parking lot in the rear of 610 Dudley Street, the caller said he was approached by a white male in his 20s wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, dark gray sweatpants, and gray Jordan sneakers. The caller stated that after the male asked him where he was from, the unidentified male exposed and pointed to a chrome-colored handgun tucked in his waistband and said, "You're gonna give me all your stuff." The caller believed the unidentified male was referring to the necklaces, watch, and bracelet that he was wearing. At the time, the caller said he ran away, and the unidentified male pulled the chrome-colored handgun, pointed it at him, and said, "I'm gonna blow a hole in you." The caller said he ran until the male stopped chasing him. The caller told officers that he returned to the area of 610 Dudley Street to retrieve his vehicle when he was texted by the female, Tiana, he was scheduled to meet with. She asked him to come back and meet her. He agreed to meet her again and was back behind 610 Dudley Street within 10 to 15 minutes. Upon arrival, the caller again saw the unidentified white male, only this time he was wearing a red hooded sweatshirt instead of the gray sweatshirt he had on previously. The caller told officers that the unidentified male began chasing him again and that he did not see the chrome-colored firearm during the second visit. The caller said that this was finally the point he decided to call 911 for police assistance. The short time elapsed between the two incidents, the fact that Cherry had changed clothing, and the close proximity to the address that Cherry later gave to officers at booking all suggest that it is likely that he went home to change before the second encounter. I mean, if someone pulls a gun on you, right, and you run away, You get away from the person. Why would you come back? That doesn't even make sense. You go to meet someone runs up on you with a gun, right? And you leave, and then you're going to come back? And then you say the person changed their outfit, and then this time they don't have a gun? Like, come on. The caller was brought to Cherry's location for a show-up identification. The caller was issued witness instructions by Sergeant Brooks prior to viewing Cherry. Cherry was viewed by the caller without restraints and standing with two Caucasian officers of similar height and weight. The caller positively identified Cherry as the person who pointed a long chrome handgun at him and chased him twice. Cherry was placed under arrest and charged with armed assault with intent to rob and assault by means of a dangerous weapon with a gun. While Cherry was being detained and awaiting the show-up procedure, a black female who identified herself as my girlfriend appeared on the scene and said that Cherry was her boyfriend and that he lived with her. Along with Officer Warrant and his canine partner, Jake, responding officers conducted a search of the area for the long chrome firearm used during the crime but did not find one. So you're telling me the fucking canine got the same name as me? That's some bullshit. Cherry gave blank as his address during the booking process for the above arrest. It should also be noted that BPD spoke with Cherry at his home address earlier this year relative to a similar string of armed robberies where victims were planning on meeting what they thought would be a black female and were directed to the rear of 610 Dudley Street or 19 Leyland Street, which abuts 610 Dudley Street. The victim had all been in contact with the black female either on Tinder or Plenty of Fish app. Once they were robbed, and one of the suspects was described as a white non-Hispanic male. These robberies date back to February 2016. I also know that Cherry has a history of firearms and burglary-related offenses out of Florida. Specifically, and then they give the tracking number of the case, where Cherry was guilty of carrying a concealed firearm. I have personal knowledge based on my training and experience that aforementioned crimes of assault with intent to rob and assault by means of a dangerous weapon are often found to be ongoing offenses with firearms and ammunition. Firearms and ammunition are also kept and maintained for the purpose of personal protection as well as a means to commit further criminal acts. I also know that those who possess firearms and related ammunition lawfully and illegally often possess cleaning kits and equipment for the proper maintenance of said weapons. Firearms are also easily concealable, thus not requiring much space to store or secrete. I know that firearms and ammunition are deemed to be valuable commodities, having monetary value and not easily or quickly discarded. So basically, he's just saying that if someone's got a gun illegally, it costs a decent bit amount of money. It's not the easiest to get, and most people aren't just going to throw them away, which is, another reason why we should go and search this house. And then, he's also just talking about the cell phone and how this case pretty much revolves around an app and why he wants the cell phone, because there could be information inside of the phone in regards to the app, in regards to the crime. So, that's basically the whole reason that they did the search warrant. The specific charges that I have in Massachusetts, if it's under 2.5 years, you're going to the House of Corrections, which is South Bay, which is literally 5 minutes from my house. If it's over 2.5, you're going to state prison. They didn't have enough evidence to indict me on my case, which means they didn't have evidence to put me in a superior court, which means the most that they can convict me on is 2.5 years, and they actually would have to reduce the charges because they can't convict me on superior court charges in a district court. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to ride this out. I'm going to take it to trial. They don't have the gun. They don't really have evidence on me. They don't really have anything. And at worst, I'm facing 2.5. I didn't care about doing 2.5 years. And then I found out that my girl was pregnant. And that kind of changed everything up because, that's not something I would want to miss at all. And, later in the case, it was brought to my attention that I was actually being investigated on up to 6 different armed robberies. This was an assault with the firearm with the intent to rob. The other 6, they said, were actual armed robberies. And this is why I said if I was in the state of Florida still, I would have got a life sentence, because anything armed in the state of Florida is punishable by life. Massachusetts is different. And then also, because of the fact that Florida has the PRI law, I would have got a mandatory life sentence in the state of Florida. And this was only a year, literally a year after my release. I was released July 1st. This happened, what, July 10th of the next year, 2016. I was released in 15. So, I mean, push come to shove, I end up pleading guilty. They basically give me a deal and they tell me if I plead guilty to the assault with the firearm or the assault with the gun, they'll drop the armed assault with intent to rob. So I tell them, yeah, I'll do that. And what basically happens is I go in front of the judge, I plead guilty, I admit to doing everything that they said, and then the judge denies it. I'm just like, what? Like, the prosecutor came up with this deal. I didn't come up with it. I agreed with it. And the judge is like, no, he just got out a year ago for similar charges. This kid needs to do time. I basically got an asshole of a judge. He wanted to send me to prison. But like I said, they couldn't send me to prison. They could only send me to the House of Corrections. But it was crazy because the prosecutors were the ones that gave this deal, which basically means they don't have evidence. They just want a conviction. My girl's pregnant. I'm not taking any risks. So I'm just basically going to take another felony. I got 4 already. What is one more? You know what I mean? And we go back into court, and eventually the judge ends up taking the plea deal. I'm found guilty, or I pled guilty to assault with a dangerous weapon by means of a firearm, and they dropped the armed assault with intent to rob. So basically, this paper right here, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of State Police Crime Laboratory, you know, anytime you commit a felony, you have to give your DNA. You no longer pretty much own the rights to your own DNA. So they have your DNA now. Florida, they already have my DNA. It's basically so if you commit another violent offense, they're able to know that you did it. Now, what I was able to do is I met a couple people that lived pretty much on my block that were also going to court here. And one of them brought up the Roxbury Choice Program. The Roxbury Choice Program is a program like for the youth. It's like pretty much 24 and under. And if you catch a certain offense that isn't too crazy, what they do is they put you in this probationary group. You have to work or volunteer a minimum 14 hours, I believe, a week. And what can happen is your probation can be cut in half. So I was actually approved to go into the choice program, which was one of the best things that could happen for me, because it was really going to give me structure on this probation. You know, it's tough being on probation and your PO sucks. This probation group, I mean, as long as you showed respect and that you were taking it serious, these people were mad helpful. I was given a different judge. This judge was one of the nicest ladies I ever met. The thing about the choice program is I had a violent offense, so I think I had to go in there either every week or every 2 weeks. I had to go and visit like every 2 weeks to the court. And you got to go there early in the morning. And what happens is they actually have a breakfast. So you sit in this large room full of all the DA and the judge and the regular guards that work there, and all y'all eat breakfast together. The same DA that was working my case, trying to get me to prison and then came up with the deal, I'm sitting next to this dude eating breakfast. And the reason they do that is because they kind of just want you to establish a mutual respect that, people have jobs. They don't hate you. They're not out to get you. And we can sit and have this mutual respect. And a lot of the DA was actually nice and respectful to us. You know what I mean? You had mad kids in there that would come in acting tough and just have their mouths shut and be bitching and cussing. And I've already been to prison. There's no reason for me to act like a little kid or act immature. If I gotta fake a smile, I gotta fake a smile. And it's the smart thing to do. But a lot of these people were genuine. And I really didn't have to fake anything at this point. You know what I mean? My PO was super nice. She came to my house for a house visit. I never slipped up one time. I never had one issue on probation. You know, they give us these papers. If you do not report to your office visit, you may be held up to 3 days. It'll tell you a court date. And then at the bottom, you pretty much have to like sign it, put all your information. And if you don't go, you can be held in jail for 3 days before you're released by the judge. And you know, I was able to get a job. I got a job at Backwoods Pizza, which is literally right down the street from my house, right on Dudley Street in the hood. And I wasn't getting paid shit, but they hired me, and they were even going as far as driving me to court. If I had court on a day that I had to work, they would give me notes letting the courts know that I was working there, how many hours I was working. I was doing good. Eventually, I ended up quitting the pizza place. It got to a point where like I really wasn't getting any type of money. I got into an argument with the owner. I didn't like how he talked to me. I didn't want to resort to violence, even though that I was feeling really disrespected by what he said. So I just quit the job. At this point, I'm kind of like, you know, I'm on probation. Like, I need to have a job. This isn't something that I can just not do and mess up and risk going to prison. And this is where I actually found the smoke shop job. So I was hired by the smoke shop. Within a quick amount of time, I actually took over as the manager. I was given 3 raises within 1 year. I was running this thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm taking a couple $1,000, depositing it to the bank. I'm running this whole store. I'm running the security system. I'm doing stock. I'm doing inventory, employee training. I took over. I was getting $15 an hour. I was working 44 hours a week. I had every single pay stub. I never missed a pay stub. And my boss, who invested like $250,000 into the business, she used to be a lawyer. She came to court with me one day. She reached out to my PO. She was communicating with my PO. She came to court. And on that day, they basically went over my case, went over how long I had been on probation, went over how well I was doing. I never had one slip up. I'm a manager right now, making this amount of money every single week. And the judge dismissed the case. The judge dismissed my probation. I was given a certificate of completion of probation. You know, everybody in the little courtroom was clapping for me, congratulating me. And it was a good feeling. You know what I mean? It was a weight lifted off my shoulders. It felt really good. But it's crazy to know that because I was given a second chance, because I was put into that choice program, because there are judges, there are probation officers, there are DA that do have a heart, that do actually try to help people and impact the community and impact the youth in a positive way. I was given another chance at life, if you think about it. Because in Florida courts, it doesn't matter if the judge is nice or not. I would have had to, by law, been given a mandatory life sentence. And I wouldn't be speaking right now. I'd be in prison, mandatory life sentence. And you know, it's things like this where I'm able to be an example and show people I messed up. I messed up and went to prison. I got out. I messed up again. But now look at what I'm doing. Now I'm in a position to speak on it and enlighten others on the situation. But another thing that I would like to do is enlighten the people that make these laws, because you have kids right now doing mandatory life sentences that could be in the same positive position as me. They just weren't legally given that chance and that opportunity. But, hey, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. 1090J, I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. We're going to keep this thing moving. New content coming soon. Till next time.